Good morning. It's Mo Somerville, Monday morning, and today we're going to talk about when your child's behavior hurts you. Ugh. So, I want to share a story. So, some of you know I have 4 children. My youngest is 1, and he is so busy. He's so busy. And I love him dearly. I stay at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And we have a great time here. But I'm telling you, if I blink like too long, he is into something spilling, pouring out, throwing and breaking things. And some days it just makes me want to cry. And it's not because he's doing anything wrong. He's exploring, he's testing things out, he's experimenting, and it's a beautiful thing. But it hurts me because, my mind goes to like, oh, that costs money. We're going to have to pay to replace that. And I guess that's where my thoughts sometimes go, to the money, to the cost of replacing the things that are being broken or spilled out or torn up. And that's when I have to catch myself. And that's really kind of what I wanted to talk to you all about, because I am sure that you can relate to this, where maybe your child gets in trouble and there are going to be serious consequences. You know this, and you hurt for them. You hurt and you begin to try to figure out how to help. Or perhaps they're lying or stealing or cheating. Again, can be serious consequences, maybe not, depending on their ages. Or maybe they're destructive with their words, or, physically destructive. Maybe they just don't even care sometimes, and that bothers you because then it's hard to connect with them. So any of these things, right? And I'm sure there's several others where our children do things that just really, really hurt us. And there is a good way. I don't know if there's always a best way, but there is a good way that I'd like to talk to you today about handling it. So the first step is to pause, deep breath, compose yourself, think of some happy thoughts, okay? Because we want to go into this problem-solving process with a clear head, all right? Pause. I have to pause when I see my son tearing up stuff. I have to just pause. Then I have to remember it's not personal. Now, what do I mean by it's not personal? Well, most children, right, know how to press our buttons. They know how to trigger our responses. But it's not really as if they're intentionally doing it. I don't think little people in their minds are like, oh, I'm going to get mommy and daddy. I'm going to do this. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get them. No, it may happen, but usually that's not an intentional thing. So when I say remember, it's not personal, I mean they don't know your story, right? And maybe you tell them, but they may not remember. So with my son, he's tearing things up. Now, when I was growing up, money was tight, right? So we were frugal. The decisions you make are wisely made when it comes to money. You know you don't have a lot. You know it's not going to go very far. And in my mind, everything needs to be saved and conserved and reused. So when I see that, it then becomes personal to me, right? You are costing me money by the things that you're doing. But again, you can't let it get personal. My son doesn't know how I grew up. My son does not have a personal vendetta against me. My son is just being a 1-year-old. He's doing what 1-year-olds do. He's exploring his world. He's trying things out. And sometimes it's just their immaturity or their personality. Again, it's not personal. So then you might say, well, how do I separate myself from the situation, right? Because that's the hardest thing to do. You know in your mind, okay, my kids, they don't know my story. They don't always know my background. They don't know my pains or my hurts. They don't know what I went through. and why I respond the way I do to their behavior. They're not in my head. So how do I separate myself from the situation to allow me to be the parent that I want to be? Well, there are many ways, but a way that you can manageably do in the short time that we have this morning is to share that part of yourself. So you don't have to share it with your child, maybe with another trusted adult. It could be with a counselor if you have that set up. It could be in a journal. But sometimes these attachments we had to our past are because we really haven't been able to let that pain out. We haven't shared it as a story to anyone that actually cared. We haven't been, comforted. We haven't been supported. We haven't had someone say, you know what, I understand, and that makes a lot of sense. That's understandable. We haven't had someone empathize with us on that. And so some of those old stories are still replaying in our minds. There's still a lot of pain in our hearts over it. It's important to get that part of your story out. Share it, feel those feelings. Remind yourself that that time is over and that you are choosing to heal, you're choosing to grow, you're choosing to forgive. And then once you allow yourself just a moment to regroup, then we might be able to do something more. So, what might be some examples to let you know that you're taking it personal? Well, maybe if your thoughts or your words go something like this: you are just embarrassing me because of blah, blah, blah. Or you may say, you don't have any respect for ... Or, you know what? When I was growing up, ... So if for some reason you're making comparisons with your life compared to theirs, you might be taking it a little personally. If embarrassment is one of the feelings that you feel, you might be taking it a little personally. And it is okay. It's okay to feel the way you feel. But what I'm saying is, I want us as parents to begin to try to grow into a place where we can recognize that our past hurts are not our children's hurts. And it's going to be hard for them to understand our perspective, especially if we're sharing it out of a place of anger or frustration for what they've done or what they've said. So we don't want to take it personal. And once we address our own hurts, then we can begin to parent more fully from a place of love. So parenting from a place of love can then be us teaching or modeling the behavior that we want to see from them. My son, who's very young, right? There's limitations on what we can do, but what he does know, he'll now say, Mommy made mess. I made mess. And then he and I can work together to clean up the mess. So some growth has still come out of the messiness. Another strategy for parenting in love will be setting limits or expectations for future events. Sometimes the issue is just, you know what, we didn't provide enough clarity or guidance, and now is the opportunity for us to do that. A third step that we could take is to either allow the natural consequences to happen, meaning that we don't run to save our child from what is going to happen because of their actions. Or it may mean that we enforce the consequences that we said they would experience if they did A, B, C. So again, we don't protect them and we don't forget about the consequences and not enforce them. So I hope this has been a good little tidbit. Make you just think it through a little bit. Take yourself out of the equation and love on those babies. Give them the attention they need. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. On Thursday of this week, I am doing an event that talks about how to survive the holidays. Yes, you don't want to miss it. It will be Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be broadcasting it. You should see some information about that. If this was helpful to you, please like, share, help a sister or a brother out. Talk to you later. This was Mo Somerville.